Hey, this is Adam Torres, and I'm here to tell you that it has never been easier to start your very own podcast. At Mission Matters, our goal is to amplify stories that matter. That means we want to help you start your podcast because your story matters. We can do this in 3 different ways. 1, join our podcast school and take a free or paid course. 2, visit our resources page where we've already figured out what you need, such as where to host your podcast. Or 3, heck, we can even do everything for you through our podcast agency, including editing for cheaper than you can do in-house. Oh, and no contracts, service is month to month. Get started by heading over to missionmatters.com and click on Start a Podcast. All right, now let's get into the show.
Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Fitness Podcast, your source for all things fitness. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Rebecca Manti on the line, and she's founder of A Side of Goodness and also a franchise owner at the Juice Plus Company. Becky, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam. Nice to be here.
Oh, my gosh. So excited to have you on this episode today. I know that you were referred to us by Melanie Lynn, who she's also was on our show in the past. So I'm excited. It's like one big happy podcasting family. I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about the 3 pillars of wellness, but maybe just to get us kicked off, how did you get started really on this fitness path and kind of on this route that you're going on now?
I actually started being active very young. When I was in grade school, I was a figure roller skater for 8 years and won a national title. So that really got me interested in the body and fitness all around. From then, I went on to really diving into the arena of weight training. And once I moved to Los Angeles, I was recommended to try out the Sculpt. And from there, I became a yoga instructor and just really fell in love with how the fitness aspect of the practice had such a massive effect on my own mental health. And I knew that I wanted to be able to share that gift with others, which led me to becoming a certified instructor.
So, Becky, there's different people listening to this podcast right now. Some people are in the fitness industry. Some people are seasoned like yourself. Some people are listening just for tips on fitness. Well, we're going to address some of the people that are looking for tips on fitness when we go into our topic, the 3 pillars of wellness, in a moment. But let's talk to those people that are just getting started in their fitness careers, and they're listening because they want to learn from seasoned professionals like yourself in terms of how to make a real living out of it and how to make a business, because you've been in the industry for a long time now. So what kind of advice would you give to that newbie that's out there listening to this right now?
I would say the most important thing you can do when it comes to finding a practice or even a career in fitness is finding what you love. There are so many different types of activities, from sports to individualized practices, dancing, running, yoga. So really, so many different avenues you can go down. And I think the most important thing is to find something that you resonate with that not only probably helps your body, but really helps your mind.
That's awesome. I think that's great advice. And I think that's a great transition. So let's just dive a little bit further into today's topic. So the 3 pillars of wellness, maybe start off by telling us a little bit more about your platform. So A Side of Goodness.
Sure. So A Side of Goodness is essentially a platform of wellness that covers those 3 pillars of wellness, and those are mindful consumption. So what are you putting in your body to fuel it? Joyful movement. So just like I said, what is something that not only feeds your body, but feeds your soul and your heart and your mind? And mental health. So
let's say that somebody is listening to this right now and they're thinking about how these pillars fall into their day-to-day life. I'm one of those low-hanging fruit type of individuals who are like, okay, maybe you give me some small steps, maybe I can build on those. I mean, where does somebody start?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think that it's so easy to become so overwhelmed, especially when you want to sort of excel in all of these different areas when maybe you can't even grasp onto one for longer than a couple of days. But I like to think of it in really simple terms. So mindful consumption, I work with the Juice Plus company, like you mentioned before, and what they've created is essentially plant food that they've turned into astronaut food. So 30 varieties of fruits, vegetables, and berries that have been dehydrated and put into a capsule form to really easily consume. So from then, the first thing in your morning when you take them, you're already flooded with a ton of nutrients, and that really just sets you up for success in your day. So I feel like that is the easiest way to get that nutritional aspect. As for the mental health or the mindfulness portion, what are you doing in your mornings? How are you starting off your day? Are you popping out of bed, or are you sort of slugging around, getting on Instagram? Let's get you a solid morning routine to start your day off right. And then for joyful movement, let's get you outdoors and walking for 30 minutes. Let's absorb some sun and get our bodies and our heart rates just moving a little bit faster than normal to help you just stay energized and focused and healthy. I was going to say it doesn't need to be, this crazy routine, this 3-hour long process. It can just be the foundations, the basics of those 3 pillars, whatever that looks like to an individual.
So let's go a little bit further. So let's just say that that's the kind of where you get started. Let's say that maybe you have a couple of those things covered, and you're you've been at this a little while, and you're looking to maybe take your regimen to the next level. Like what does that look like for those? Let's just say not quite intermediate, but they've been doing this a while and on this path.
Yeah, I think if you have already been doing this and you're ready to kind of progress a little more, maybe we have our morning routine. Maybe we create a DMO, a daily method of operations, where you're taking all these different tasks that you have to do on a weekly basis and organizing them and structuring them in a way that applies your time in a really productive way. So I'm actually doing a course called Behavior Change Specialist through the National Academy of Sports Medicine right now. And right now I'm really working with individuals to create that kind of system of productivity for their weeks and their days and getting them on track with their goals. In the fitness area, maybe you're good with walking outside. Maybe you pick up a membership, or there's so many online classes that you can take right now due to COVID-19. So there's a limitless amount of online tools and resources, from free to however much you're comfortable to spend in fitness. And I myself teach yoga through my website, A Site of Goodness. So you can book classes there. You can book private lessons there for yoga or yoga sculpt. So a lot of this stuff is already on A Site of Goodness, which I love because it really just supports people in any of those areas.
Let's go further into the site and the platform overall, because I definitely want my audience and listeners to go over there and check it out. Like, give us a little bit more of kind of how it works, and go a little bit further into how they can interact and engage with your brand.
Yes. So right when you hop onto the site, you see a little bit about me. And then at the very bottom of the homepage, you can actually subscribe and receive what I call the weekly dose of goodness, which is just a weekly email that displays upcoming events, the yoga schedule for the week, and just different thoughts on mindfulness, mental health, different practices that you can incorporate into your day or week just to get some of that mental clarity up and running for you. And then there is a portion of the site called the Goodness Collective, and that is really where you can dive into the health and wellness of what a goodness, or what the health and wellness of what A Site of Goodness is. So we dive further into actually a biweekly event I'm currently hosting called Fuel Your Body, Feed Your Mind, where we do 30 minutes of each pillar, and we do yoga. We talk about that mindful consumption and what are you putting into your body, and then we go into some sort of mindfulness practice. So that's been something that I've been doing for about 2 months now that I've really been enjoying and have received really great feedback from. So you can register through the events there. You can check out all of the Juice Plus solutions for there, look at all of the 40 clinical research studies, the quality of the products. So it's just a little bit deeper dive into those resources that I offer.
That's awesome. And tell us a little bit more about the feedback you've been receiving, because that's one of the coolest things to me. And I always love this show because sometimes people listen to this and they might be like intimidated. They're like, it's too much, or this, that. You know what I mean? In terms of like it's an undertaking. But when you hear success stories, when you hear the stories of other people that have done it, that's when you kind of get in your head like, you know what? If they did it, then maybe I could do it too. So tell us a little bit more about kind of some of the feedback that you've been getting.
Yeah. A big part of the feedback I've received is probably what people who are newer into the wellness space will resonate with, in the sense that it doesn't have to be difficult. I work with a brand also called Health Made Simple, which is kind of how I got started on my wellness journey and becoming more plant-based, incorporating more whole foods and just wellness resources into my life and my body. And I think that describes it perfectly. Health doesn't have to be hard. Health is simple. And I think there's a huge habit of overcomplicating it because of all of the different trends and, articles that we find by scrolling through Facebook or Instagram. So I would say start simple. And the biggest feedback has definitely been that people are starting to realize that it doesn't have to be difficult, and that wherever they're at in their life, they can start a wellness regimen. So I've gotten amazing feedback on my clients that have started taking their Juice Plus, in the sense that it's helping them, become less bloated. It's helping them actually crave more fruits and vegetables. So now they're going to the farmer's market and they're picking things up to actually start cooking. It became a catalyst for them and wanting to get more nutrients into their bodies. And that really, having that foundational health really just transpires in a ton of ways, and really lets people.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
I get it. And that's awesome. It just makes sense, because you figure, you start slow, you start small, like you said. Then you add whatever you started with, whether it was the Juice Plus, so that you're consuming the product, so that your nutrition's getting better, or whether it's on the fitness regimen. I mean, I feel like out of those pillars, it's possible. Some people need help in all three. Some people need help with one or two. Some people, you know what I mean? Like, it goes back and forth. For me, it goes back and forth. So I have different levels where sometimes I do something good on the diet, sometimes I'm doing something good on the other thing. Like that's the way my journey's been. But that being said, Rebecca, I can talk to you about this all day long, but we're about out of time for this episode. So if somebody is listening to this and they want to connect with you and they want to learn more about your brand or to follow your journey, I mean, what's the best way for them to do that?
Absolutely. So first step, go to asideofgoodness.com, scroll to the bottom, put in your email, and become a recipient of the weekly dose of goodness, where you can be connected to all of the pillars of wellness. If you want to connect otherwise, talk to me directly. You can find me on Instagram, @BeckyWithTheGoodness.
Fantastic. Well, Becky, been awesome having you on the show today. So thank you again for coming on. Tell us more about your journey. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review in the Apple iTunes store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Fitness, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Becky, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Adam.